This is absolutely the most absurd transmigration ever. In her past life, she was just an ordinary college student. Now she's been reborn as the noble second daughter of a count. She thought she could finally live a luxurious life of ease. But 3 years ago, she was suddenly told to shoulder the heavy burden of defeating the Demon King. For 3 whole years, she endured hardships and trained relentlessly. Now she finally stands before the Demon King. Her sword points directly at that terrifying figure. The Demon King's crimson eyes lock onto Evelyn, sending chills down her spine. She barely blocks the first strike, stunned by his overwhelming power. The relentless attacks leave her struggling to keep up as she desperately searches for an opening. Finally, she seizes the moment and charges forward with everything she has. But her blade is easily knocked away, and hope shatters in an instant. She struggles to retrieve her weapon, but the Demon King is already closing in. In the nick of time, she grabs her sword and drives it straight through the Demon King's chest. Warm blood splatters across her cheek. The sacred sword in her hand seems to greedily drink the Demon King's blood. The Demon King suddenly bursts into laughter. His dark form gradually transforms into a pale, handsome man. He whispers with satisfaction, finally getting what he wished for, and gently strokes her hair. With a final word of thanks, he dissolves into dust before her eyes. She can't help but think to herself, leaving behind cryptic words is definitely a villain's privilege. Her companions rush forward anxiously, calling out her name. She collapses in exhaustion, relieved that these 3 grueling years are finally over. High Cleric Aiden and Mage Tia check her injuries with concern. Barbarian Warrior Brock, Knight Quentin, and Rogue Kira all gather around. Evelyn smiles and asks everyone about their plans. The men's eagerness to return home makes the ladies laugh. Tia plans to return to the Magic Tower to complete her research. Kira intends to go back to her homeland. Everyone's reluctant gazes focus on her. Aiden tentatively asks if she's considered taking up the priesthood. Kira enthusiastically invites her to the Cat Clan territory, specifically emphasizing there are many male catfolk. She can't help but imagine that scene and almost wavers. But she knows clearly that after defeating the Demon King, there's still one thing she must do. Under everyone's curious gazes, she firmly announces her decision. She's going back to school. The legend of a fossil-aged student is about to begin. The carriage rolls along slowly. Evelyn dozes off amidst the bumpy ride. She wakes with a start, realizing she fell asleep on the journey. When she hears they're about to arrive at the estate, she curiously peers out, but her heart feels heavier than ever. Home should be a warm haven, but for her it only means more exhaustion. The carriage stops in front of the Count's estate, but she's reluctant to go inside. Right now, she deeply regrets not accepting her teammates' invitations. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to her with a sob. Her personal maid Bella runs toward her with tears in her eyes. The two embrace tightly after 3 years apart, joy overflowing. Evelyn is relieved to find that everyone seems to be doing well. Then she quietly asks about her sister Cassandra's whereabouts. The moment the words leave her mouth, all the servants fall into an eerie silence. Bella carefully informs her that the young lady is in the study. From this reaction, it's clear her sister is still that fearsome tyrant. Cassandra Rosen is the head of the family, beloved by the imperial court. She's also the sister connected by blood, but estranged as strangers. On the way to her room, she asks Bella to prepare bathwater. The warm water washes away the journey's fatigue, but can't truly help her relax. The biggest obstacle is that cold, ruthless sister. A figure lying in a pool of blood suddenly flashes through her mind. Her eyes widen in terror, breath nearly stopping. Bella immediately notices something's wrong, but Evelyn forces herself to stay calm and praises the comfort of the hot water. Bella thoughtfully prepares her favorite fragrance. She then chatters away asking about the journey, but Evelyn's mind is already elsewhere. This honest student still has to face the pressure of returning to school. Looking back, she worked hard to get into school just to enjoy campus life. Instead, she faced an endless hell of assignments. A bold idea forms in her mind. Why not just drop out? But when facing her sister, all courage vanishes. In the dining room, her sister asks about the journey without even looking up. She keeps her head down and answers briefly, thinking about how to bring up dropping out. Just as she gathers her courage, her sister suddenly drops a bombshell. The news that their parents are dead strikes like a bolt from the blue. She shoots to her feet, unable to believe her ears. Her sister repeats the heartbreaking news. Those emotionless eyes make it sound like she's discussing the neighbor's trivial matters. She anxiously demands details, her voice trembling uncontrollably. Her sister wipes her mouth and calmly describes how the carriage fell off a cliff. They were on their way to Felix's favorite villa for recuperation when it happened. Felix Rosen, the family's eldest son, her brother. In this world where men struggle to inherit the family business, he fought hard, yet he ended up lying in a pool of blood, killed by his own sister. At this moment, she can almost still see the undried bloodstains by the dining table. When she learns the tragedy happened a year ago, she nearly goes mad. Her sister sneers and mocks her for only writing when she needs money, never caring about their parents' well-being. So why pretend to care now? She's left speechless, all her questions swallowed back down. Her sister conveniently changes the subject to academy matters. She sneers inwardly and impatiently says she wants to drop out and rest. But her sister commands her to return to the academy in an unquestionable tone. The ultimatum echoes in her ears. Don't come back until graduation. Evelyn finally realizes one truth. The person before her is more terrifying than the Demon King. Evelyn ultimately can't defy her sister's arrangements. She becomes the academy's only returning student. She walks through the familiar campus, carrying her books. She finds that not much has changed since 3 years ago. However, the first problem quickly appears. She becomes the subject of gossip. Everyone's discussing this suddenly returned second daughter of House Rosen. What gives her an even bigger headache are the absurd rumors about the hero. Some swear the hero is a man of barbarian origin. What makes her most uncomfortable is being surrounded by a group of noble ladies. She barely maintains her smile, inwardly craving a quiet campus life. Just then, Lady Lena of House Blaylock steps in to rescue her. She thoughtfully suggests that Evelyn might not be familiar with these rumors yet. The surrounding ladies finally realize their rudeness and apologize one after another. Lena enthusiastically invites Evelyn to her tea party. Evelyn agrees with a smile on the surface, but internally she's full of resistance. This feeling of specially caring for an outsider feels strangely familiar, though extremely reluctant. Considering the ducal house's prestige, she has no choice but to accept. Class is about to begin. She slumps tiredly on her desk, lamenting the complexity of campus life. It's not until she hears Professor Cyrus that she jolts awake. The young professor enters the classroom, immediately drawing admiration from students, but Evelyn finds these exaggerated praises baffling. Cyrus immediately notices Evelyn sitting in the corner, and she decides to see how this childhood friend teaches. However, in less than 10 minutes, she's fast asleep. After class, the two walk side by side in the hallway as she complains his class is boring. Cyrus retorts indignantly, emphasizing he's the academy's youngest professor. What concerns him more is that she left without saying goodbye 3 years ago. Evelyn defensively argues that she did send a letter. This makes Cyrus even angrier. He can still recite that one-line letter to this day. Evelyn understands he's angry because he was worried about her, but this nagging concern is hard for her to handle. Cyrus himself feels helpless too. He's been building up anger for 3 years, but the moment he sees her face, it all melts away. Looking at her profile, he unconsciously blushes. He gently consoles her, hoping she won't blame herself for what happened to her parents. She immediately realizes this might be a rumor someone deliberately spread. They're claiming she went to recuperate with her parents back then. She already knew the demon's subjugation wouldn't be made public, but for the Empire, there's no need to specifically create an excuse for her. Such a deliberate rumor couldn't be the Empire's doing. Who exactly is secretly helping her conceal her identity? She falls into thought, ruling out her squad members. Cyrus interrupts her thoughts, worried something happened between her and her sister. The moment her sister is mentioned, Evelyn instantly becomes agitated. She turns and leaves without looking back, leaving a bewildered Cyrus behind. He sighs helplessly. She's always so sensitive about anything involving her sister. He hurries to catch up, wanting to ease the atmosphere, unaware that a pair of eyes has been watching them in secret. A white cat appears silently behind them. A few mornings later, Evelyn receives a tea party invitation. The Blaylock family's white bear crest reminds her of the North. Her companions once clamored to catch a white bear. Those everyday moments have become precious memories. She can't help but smile as she opens the letter. Then she mentally complains about great families and their formalities. This silly, ceremonial feeling strikes her as both cute and exasperating. Bella hastily stops her bold remarks, fearing someone might overhear. But Evelyn laughs and says Bella is even cuter, making the maid blush. After getting dressed, Evelyn still wants to skip class, but Bella firmly pushes her out the door. After seeing off her lady, Bella prepares for a thorough cleaning. Then she suddenly hears an eerie cat meow. There shouldn't be any cats on the 3rd floor, yet the meowing continues. In the empty room, Bella is so frightened she's about to cry. The next day at the tea party, Evelyn quietly observes the noble ladies present. From merchant guild heiresses to knight commander's daughters, each has a prestigious background. Lady Lena politely asks if she's adjusting to academy life. The barbed greeting makes Evelyn uncomfortable. She calmly returns the sentiment, hinting that she's actually the senior who enrolled first. Someone suddenly asks about her relationship with Professor Cyrus. She openly admits they were classmates, though the professor title feels awkward. Everyone is surprised the serious professor would walk with her. Evelyn herself wonders why Cyrus chose to teach. He's always disliked young children, and his personality isn't suited for education. Thinking about how he's been avoiding her since that day, she can't help but smile bitterly. After all these years, he's still so sensitive and petty. Trapped at the tea party, she silently vows to find a chance to make amends. Then the topic shifts to Prince Lucas. Completely clueless, she can only smile awkwardly. Among the snickers, she learns he's the second in line to the throne. The prince's enrollment has caused a sensation throughout Rosen Academy. She doesn't understand why royalty wouldn't attend the Imperial Academy. Then she hears the prince came to follow his friend Tyron, and Tyron enrolled for his sister Lena. Lena shyly admits this fact. Everyone marvels at this bond. Evelyn mentally sorts through this complex web of relationships, she suddenly notices an illogical timeline. If Tyron and Lena are siblings, why did they enroll at the same time? Everyone laughs and explains they're twins who look nothing alike. Lena's expression darkens as she mentions people often question this. The other ladies rush to comfort her, making the atmosphere awkward. Evelyn is already on edge, wanting nothing more than to escape. This complicated sibling relationship is clearly a troublesome vortex. Just as she's thinking of an excuse, Lena brings up the upcoming Lakeside Festival. All eyes instantly focus on Evelyn. The lady smiles and asks if she'll attend the ball. A chill running down her spine tells her there's no escape. The next day, at the bustling marketplace, Bella insists tearfully there's a cat in the room. Though skeptical, Evelyn still accompanies her to order a cat trap. She plans to repair her sword while there, but the blacksmith looks troubled. He recognizes the blade isn't plated with ordinary iron, but rather a precious alloy of multiple metals. He adds that only his retired master has the skill to handle such a legendary weapon. Evelyn sighs helplessly and suggests strolling around the market for a bit. Bella nervously reminds her of the danger of not having guards. Evelyn is about to argue when she keenly senses someone following them. Her expression instantly changes as she realizes the situation is indeed bad. She grabs Bella and hurries away, but at the corner, 3 men block their path. She immediately shields Bella behind her, sword already drawn. The men arrogantly demand the necklace around her neck. Evelyn thinks to herself, why would thieves so easily provoke nobility? Even more suspicious is that they followed them all the way here. To her surprise, the usually timid Bella actually steps in front of her. Seeing them show amused smiles, Evelyn swings her sword without hesitation. The sounds of fighting draw royal knights. They rush to the scene, but the sight before them leaves them stunned. All 3 criminals lie unconscious on the ground while the 2 young ladies stand unharmed. Evelyn thinks fast and fabricates a story about a mysterious hero helping them. She quickly covers Bella's mouth as she tries to reveal the truth. Alarm bells ring in her mind. If her true strength is exposed, her peaceful academy life will end. Knight Franz introduces himself as serving under the second prince. Evelyn notices the emblem on his robe is identical to her old friend Quentin's. When Franz suggests meeting the prince for protection, she immediately smells a conspiracy. Thieves brazenly attack nobility, and royal knights just happen to appear. All of this is likely a setup to arrange a meeting with the second prince. Knowing it's a trap, she still has to walk into it. Inside the carriage, Lucas listens to the report with a meaningful smile. Tyron doesn't understand why they're going to such lengths for a Count's sister. Winning over Count Rosen would be more direct, but Lucas says winning over Evelyn can indirectly control Count Rosen. He also reveals a shocking secret he overheard a month ago. The Emperor and Crown Prince's private conversation unexpectedly mentioned Evelyn's name. This convinces him the young lady holds unknown value. Perhaps there's some hidden connection between her and the Crown Prince. He wants to uncover her secrets. At this moment, Evelyn arrives. The 2 parties engage in insincere pleasantries. Lucas plays along with her fabricated hero story, though his eyes show he knows better. Meeting Tyron reminds her of Lena's care. Tyron's shy reaction strikes Evelyn as particularly amusing. Lucas then invites her to ride together to school, but she doesn't want to become the school's center of attention by riding with a prince. But an invitation from royalty is as good as a command. She can only compromise, saying she'll get off near the academy. The atmosphere in the carriage is awkward. She tentatively mentions Quentin's name to Knight Franz. Learning her old friend is safe, her anxious heart finally settles. But Lucas takes keen interest in her connection to the royal knights. Evelyn can only brush it off. As she exits, Lucas gives Evelyn a hand kiss. Watching the carriage depart, an ominous feeling rises in Evelyn's heart. Today's encounters likely signal that greater turmoil is about to arrive. The next day, news of Evelyn riding with Prince Lucas has spread throughout campus. 2 noble ladies block her path, eyes gleaming with curiosity and envy. An ominous feeling rises in her heart, and sure enough they ask about her encounter with the prince. Helplessly, she recounts that day's events in detail. In class, Evelyn still feels shaken. She deeply comprehends the power of the Aberton imperial family. This family controls nearly half the world's lifeline. Cyrus's lecture pulls her back from her thoughts. He's discussing archaeological opportunities in the north after the Demon King's defeat. Evelyn smiles bitterly to herself, remembering how she shattered ruins with one sword strike. If Cyrus learned the truth, he'd probably faint on the spot. The bell rings and she hurries to catch up with Cyrus. Using questions about northern ruins as an excuse, she actually wants to mend their relationship. Seeing his silence, she understands this is tacit approval. But just outside the classroom, she runs into Prince Lucas and must stop to curtsy. The prince concernedly asks if she returned safely that day. She forces a smile in response, though inwardly she's extremely anxious. Watching Cyrus walk farther and farther away, she knows she's really angered him this time. Just then, Lady Lena appears and warmly greets the prince. Evelyn feels secretly relieved. This is the perfect chance to escape. She quietly steps aside, but she hears Lena tell her brother it's been a while. Evelyn notices his silence, gazing into Tyron's eyes. She suddenly thinks of her brother Felix. This association startles her greatly. The 2 have absolutely nothing in common. Prince Lucas promptly invites her to dinner, but she politely declines, citing her mourning period. She then curtsies and takes her leave from the second prince, but she keenly senses Tyron is still watching her. Deep in the garden, she finally catches up to Cyrus. He coldly questions her relationship with the prince. She briefly explains that accidental rescue, but then sees the white cat appear again. Cyrus sternly warns her not to play the hero when in danger. He even lists her past exploits. She laughs and says she just wants to live quietly now, as still as a fossil, but fate loves to play tricks. She can't help but think of the similar look in Tyron and Felix's eyes. Lost in thought, she doesn't notice she's leaning against Cyrus's chest. He can't help but raise his hand to stroke her hair, but the next second he abruptly pushes her away, hiding his heart's flutter. He uses hearing a cat meow as an excuse to change the subject, but she insists it's his imagination. Behind the bushes, the white cat quietly observes it all. She urges Cyrus to get to class. After saying goodbye with a smile, her expression gradually fades. Then she turns to the empty garden and calls out to that familiar figure. The academy strictly controls animals and dormitories forbid pets. She's figured it all out. She calls out Kira's name directly, demanding why she's here. Kira transforms into human form and laughs playfully, saying Bella's reactions were quite amusing. Evelyn pinches her cheeks, asking why she hid her whereabouts. She said she was returning home but secretly followed. Kira explains pitifully that their last parting was too rushed, so she couldn't help but follow. Evelyn is secretly amused and pats her shoulder as a signal. Kira immediately understands and transforms into a white cat. She jumps onto Evelyn's shoulder and nuzzles affectionately, bringing a rare moment of warmth. Back at the dorm, Bella excitedly shows off the trap she's set. She swears she'll catch that cursed cat, but the little cat peeks out from behind Evelyn. It gracefully jumps onto the bed, meowing softly. Bella is instantly won over, repeatedly praising its cuteness. She explains she set the trap out of fear of the unknown sounds. Evelyn nods understandingly and asks her to help care for the cat. Though Bella worries about breaking school rules, she compromises under Evelyn's firm gaze. Soon comes Rosen Academy's final Hell Week. Dean Demian informs her she can substitute reports for exams. When she hears she needs to complete 5 reports in 25 days, Evelyn nearly has a heart attack. Back at the dorm, Cyrus's assigned topic gives her a massive headache. The connection between the North and the Demon King? This topic makes her involuntarily recall the long-haired Demon King's appearance. That face keeps appearing in her mind, seriously interfering with her thinking. To search for materials, she has to go to the library. The book, The Demon King's Secret Romance in the display case, makes her unable to believe her eyes. These people are insane actually putting this kind of romance novel in the library. She suppresses the urge to complain and continues searching for reference materials. Just as she pulls out a seemingly useful book, a familiar voice sounds behind her. Lady Lena politely asks if she's also here to read. However, the accompanying Viscount's daughter, Mira, can't quite remember her name. Evelyn enthusiastically greets them loudly, immediately drawing the attention of the entire library. Under everyone's disapproving gazes, she hastily suggests talking somewhere else. Mira brings them to an elegant cafe. The waiter directly leads them to a reserved special seat. Evelyn is surprised to discover this is a Russell Trading Company property. She finally remembers Mira's family's enormous influence at the academy. Mira then asks about exam preparations. Evelyn suddenly has a bright idea. She deliberately mentions she's looking for materials for her report, inwardly praying the other will take the bait. Sure enough, Mira offers to use the trading company's information network to help. Evelyn suppresses her inner joy, maintaining composure on the surface. She calculates silently. Finally, she can make use of connections. Mira writes down contact information, promising full assistance. Evelyn is deeply grateful, while Mira laughs that merchants never miss investment opportunities. When desserts arrive, the topic shifts to the upcoming Lakeside Festival. They're curious about the festival activities. Evelyn describes the beautiful scenes from the Karos festival in the past, but Lena worries about exams, fearing they'll affect her festival mood. Mira comforts her, saying with her valedictorian status she needn't worry. Evelyn only now learns Lena is the Academy's valedictorian, grades surpassing all royalty. What surprises her even more? Top 10 students can exchange to Imperial Academy. She can't help but marvel at how much the Academy has changed in 3 years. Mira lists the likely candidates, including Prince Lucas and Lord Tyron. When Crown Prince Kaelen is mentioned, Lena praises him as gentlemanly and charming, but Evelyn sneers inwardly. She recalls the scene 3 years ago when marching north. The Emperor promised full support for subjugating the Demon King, sending royal knights along. However, the Crown Prince questioned her abilities as a woman. She still holds a grudge about it. Those rude purple eyes were truly detestable. Remembering these unpleasant memories, her mood suddenly sours. Watching the two still enthusiastically discussing, she suddenly has an idea. It's time to remind these freshmen immersed in beautiful fantasies. When she says there are only 3 days until exams, they both freeze in shock. Lena and Mira hastily say goodbye in panic. Evelyn leisurely enjoys her dessert, mood greatly improved. Now with Russell Trading Company's information network, the report should be finished quickly. After finishing dessert, Evelyn hurries back to find Bella. Learning Bella went went shopping, she decides to go to the market alone. Kira worries she'll be deceived at the market and insists on accompanying her. Evelyn worries Bella will be lonely at home alone. Kira suggests leaving a note, and they both agree. Upon arrival, Evelyn immediately instructs attendants to search for needed materials. She specifically instructs them to collect all research documents about the Demon King. The attendant reports finding only 2 books, looking troubled when mentioning a third. At dusk, they send the found books back to the dorm. Then they go out again to search for the third material. Kira excitedly guesses if they're heading to the Magic Tower, because the attendant mentioned most Demon King materials are stored in the Magic Tower, and obtaining information from the Magic Tower is extremely difficult. Kira asks about the Magic Tower's location. She pulls out the communication token from her pocket, explaining it's Tia's gift. Neither knows how to use it, so they silently study it. Then they discover a button on it. Kira excitedly suggests pressing and holding it, and Evelyn complies. Blinding light instantly bursts forth, forcing them to close their eyes. When they open them again, a long-haired man is already standing before them. He coldly demands their identities. Evelyn hastily releases the token, returning to their original spot, but somehow the man has silently appeared behind them. He reaches out, questioning Evelyn's intentions in the Mage District. Unexpectedly, Evelyn and Kira swiftly restrain his wrist. The man struggles in pain. He angrily scolds them for their audacity and rudeness. Only then do they recognize this is the long-haired man they just saw. The man stands and straightens his robes, his tone filled with disbelief. He demands to know where the communication token came from, and Evelyn honestly admits it's from Tia. Hearing Tiana's name, the man's attitude visibly softens. Then he snaps his fingers. They're instantly transported to the book-filled Magic Tower. Evelyn marvels, and the man states he's the only one who can do this. Evelyn immediately guesses he's the legendary Tower Master. At this moment, Tia hurriedly appears, apologizing for not explaining how to use the token in detail. Evelyn laughs and calls out Tiana's full name, surprising Tia greatly. The Tower Master guiltily looks away, trying to change the subject. He reassumes a dignified posture and asks Evelyn her purpose. Evelyn honestly admits she wants to obtain information about the Demon King. He doesn't understand why she'd research a topic that already has results, learning it's just for a report assignment. His expression immediately sours. Evelyn hastily explains she only needs reference materials as evidence. After all, 3 years of subjugating the Demon King have already given her understanding of the truth. She just needs authoritative literature to support her arguments. Tia quietly suggests she could offer her own compiled report. The Tower Master immediately reminds her the research belongs to the Magic Tower. Tia pushes up her glasses and firmly requests permission on the spot. Under Tia's insistence, the Tower Master finally relents. Tia quickly retrieves the report and hands it to Evelyn, eyes shining with anticipation. Evelyn sincerely thanks her, delighted by their reunion. Tia also warmly says goodbye to Kira, promising to meet again. With another snap of fingers, they return to the starlit street. Evelyn gazes at the night sky and suggests it's time to go home. Meanwhile, Bella is alone at the dorm. A few days later, the carriage rolls slowly through bustling streets. Evelyn can't help but recall Cyrus's sharp criticism. That report, dismissed as fictional, still stings her pride. Bella worriedly asks if they should bring the cat along. Evelyn senses Kira's wariness of strangers. She insists they can't leave her behind alone. After the carriage stops, Bella curiously peers at the festival outside, but Evelyn finds the commoners' revelry too noisy. She'd rather stay in the carriage enjoying the quiet. Just as they're happily petting the cat, an invitation from Prince Lucas arrives. An ominous feeling rises within her. Despite being extremely reluctant, she still has to accept this royal favor. At the dining table, Prince Lucas's seemingly casual greetings conceal sharp edges. He mentions details about the 3-year vacation, instantly putting Evelyn on alert. Each question is like a carefully designed trap, waiting for her to walk in. When the topic shifts to that fictional hero, her heart nearly stops. Lucas's relentless questioning makes everyone present uncomfortable. Evelyn screams internally, "This isn't lunch, it's clearly an interrogation." For the first time, she wishes her sister, skilled at handling such situations, could be by her side. Lucas apologizes for his impolite questioning. The conversation shifts to academic matters. Evelyn feels secretly relieved that she only needs to write a report instead of participating in debates. Suddenly, Tyron glances her way. Feeling puzzled, she looks back. That brief moment of eye contact makes the young noble blush. Evelyn remarks softly that he's very quiet. In that instant, Tyron recalls the day they first met. She just said the exact same words as back then. Seeing Tyron at a loss for words, Lucas and Lena immediately explain on his behalf. Evelyn keenly notices Tyron's hidden brilliance. Despite his exceptional talents, he willingly stays in others' shadows. This discovery reminds her of adorable little animals. Images of Kira's cat ears and Bella's rabbit ears float through her mind. Right now, Tyron looks like a docile puppy to her. Lunch ends while Evelyn's mind wanders. Evelyn and Lena leave first, leaving only the 2 gentlemen behind. Lucas bluntly asks Tyron for his opinion of Evelyn. Tyron cautiously expresses his suspicions about Evelyn. The tightly guarded information about House Rosen only fuels their curiosity. Lucas decisively orders an investigation into this mysterious family. The festival celebration is the perfect opportunity to gather intelligence. However, someone has been eavesdropping outside the door all along. Mira hears everything. Outside the restaurant, Lena asks Evelyn if she has prepared a festival gown. She enthusiastically suggests visiting Mira's boutique to select a dress. Evelyn readily agrees, inwardly admiring Mira's business acumen. The moment they enter the shop, staff members swarm around them enthusiastically. 3 tailors measure her simultaneously, making her feel flattered. Mira gracefully declares them the most honored guests. Other customers can wait. Evelyn privately admires how naturally and effortlessly Mira flatters. They then immerse themselves in a dazzling array of gowns. The finally chosen dress makes Evelyn radiate unprecedented brilliance. As night falls, the banquet hall glows brilliantly with lights and swarms with guests. Evelyn weaves through the crowd with a wine glass in hand. Suddenly, she hears Mira's cry of alarm, followed immediately by the sharp sound of shattering glass. Turning around, she sees Mira standing frozen, her dress stained with red wine. Whispers ripple through the crowd immediately, mockery and contempt filling the air. Someone deliberately asks Evelyn her opinion of merchant families. She suppresses her anger, hoping Lena will intervene. However, Lena merely covers her mouth and watches, not moving an inch. Evelyn can no longer endure it and shoves her glass into the hands of a nearby gentleman. She sharply mocks these nobles who stand by and do nothing. She's convinced this is the Crown Prince's plot against Lucas's faction. Since they can't target the prince directly, they can only hurt those who follow him. She strides toward Mira and leads her away in full view of everyone. In a quiet corner, Mira refuses her help. Only now does Evelyn see the price Mira pays to climb into high society. Every movement, every word is carefully calculated. Mira angrily accuses Evelyn. Her intervention cost Mira the chance to grow closer to Lucas. As a merchant's daughter, she has placed all her hopes on the second prince. Evelyn stands up, making it clear she wants no part in these schemes. Mira suddenly breaks down, crying about her helplessness. Evelyn points out that it's not that no one wants to help, they're just afraid of becoming the target of everyone's criticism. But she doesn't care about such things, so she acts as she pleases. Mira sobs uncontrollably, saying the opposite of what she means about disliking her. Evelyn responds with a laugh about her own distaste for merchants. Just then Lena arrives, and Evelyn immediately puts on a carefree mask. She thoughtfully gives the two some privacy, watching their awkward interaction. She can't help but find these noble ladies troubled by status rather adorable. Then Lucas suddenly appears behind her. He praises her bravery in a frivolous tone. Evelyn jolts awake, realizing this incident might not have been the Crown Prince's doing. Such crude tactics seem more like Lucas's own staged drama. And she just walked right into the carefully designed trap, forced to reveal her stance. Lucas smiles meaningfully, anticipating her next move. The next evening, the tavern buzzes with noise. Tyron speaks in hushed tones with a hooded man. He feels deeply uneasy about the man's plan to use Lady Evelyn. The man remains confident, believing Evelyn's intelligence exceeds imagination. Tyron challenges what would happen if someone used Evelyn and then discarded her. The man chuckles in response, saying he's the only one capable of using her. As the sun sets, Evelyn walks down the street corner in casual clothes with Kira. Kira, in human form, keenly senses Evelyn's troubled thoughts. Suddenly, she pulls a dagger from her thigh bag, solemnly declaring she'll protect Evelyn. But Evelyn is distracted by her twitching cat ears. She finds her too adorable to take seriously. She suggests going for beer together, and Kira lights up with excitement. The two weave through the marketplace. Kira holds a meat skewer in each hand. She enthusiastically shares one with Evelyn, explaining that human form eats more than cat form. Evelyn privately wonders what would happen if she ate heartily in human form and then transformed back into a cat. Just as she turns to ask, she discovers Kira has vanished. In a blink, Kira appears wearing a cloak, pointing out many foreign merchants in the market. Evelyn also notices this anomaly, people from all directions gathering here. Suddenly, Kira's call rings out again, but lacking its usual energy. Turning back, she sees an unfamiliar man standing with Kira, the atmosphere awkward. This person is older than Kira, but looks very similar to her. She walks right up and removes his hood, revealing a pair of cat ears. The man frantically pulls his hood back on to cover his ears, demanding what she's doing. Kira reluctantly admits this is someone from her clan. The man urgently asks when Kira will come home, his tone tinged with reproach. Evelyn stares at the adult male with cat ears in disbelief, her heart full of wonder. After introductions, she learns his name is Kyle. Kyle asks if Evelyn adopted Kira, and she immediately corrects that they're friends. Kyle expresses gratitude on behalf of the feline clan and requests to speak with Kira alone. A bitter feeling rises in Evelyn's heart. Perhaps she should prepare to say goodbye to Kira. She walks alone into the lively beer hall. The server seats her at a shared table. She discovers to her surprise that Tyron is at the same table, and both freeze, just as Tyron starts to speak. She gently presses a finger to his lips. She smiles and asks him to call her Eve. At this moment, she notices the hooded man, feeling a sense of familiarity. After probing without success, she turns to speculating about his identity. Noticing he orders drinks but doesn't drink them makes him even more suspicious. The man introduces himself as Sebastian, saying he's just here to enjoy the festival. Evelyn raises her glass in invitation, but Tyron snatches the glass first. His appearance as he drains the glass makes Evelyn both amused and concerned. Half a bottle of beer later, Tyron already shows signs of intoxication. Evelyn finds him utterly adorable and can't help but steal a few more glances. The man silently observes Evelyn, inwardly marveling at her transformation. Today's Evelyn is completely different from 3 years ago. The expedition has made her grow significantly. Suddenly, a commotion erupts outside, and Evelyn immediately stands to investigate. Tyron staggers after her, insisting on protecting her safety. The man remains alone at the table, helplessly preparing to pay the bill. A street vendor points at Kira and the others, loudly accusing them of theft. Evelyn sighs inwardly. Of course there's trouble again. At this moment, Kyle removes his hat, revealing his ears, and the atmosphere instantly freezes. The owner still shouts hoarsely, slandering the characteristics of the feline clan. Kyle wants to leave this troublesome place but is blocked by the owner charging forward. Just as the fist is about to land, Kira catches the attack firmly. Evelyn calmly observes the situation, believing there's no need to worry. The owner intensifies his accusations, claiming they're all accomplices of the catfolk. The slightly tipsy Tyron wants to step forward to argue, but Evelyn reaches out in time to stop him. She didn't expect him to be so eager to help. The owner continues accusing the feline clan of theft. The surrounding crowd is incited, all claiming to have witnessed the theft. Evelyn immediately realizes this is an elaborate scam. She suspects the knights the owner called are probably imposters too. She privately thinks these people are both bold and foolish to provoke an opponent like Kira. At this moment, Tyron suddenly proposes verifying identities and accompanying them to supervise. The knight refuses his request, but he insists on accompanying them to ensure fairness. Evelyn is surprised again, not expecting him to be so enthusiastic while drunk. To prevent him from getting into trouble, Evelyn takes his hand to dissuade him, but Tyron blushes, misunderstanding her intention. He thinks he has her support and breaks into a smile. He even naively asks if Evelyn wants to come along. Evelyn mentally screams as things spiral out of control. The knight finally agrees to take everyone away from the bustling market. Kira whispers to Evelyn her doubts about Tyron's behavior. Kyle complains he should have turned into a cat and escaped, but now he's in even bigger trouble. The knight barks at their conversation, proposing a so-called settlement. The owner seizes the opportunity to demand substantial compensation. He even clamors for harsh punishment of the catfolk. Kira finally reaches her limit and strikes back. The knights move forward to intervene, and the scene instantly descends into chaos. Evelyn watches everything unfold without the slightest surprise. Tyron realizes these people are frauds. The two feline clan members counterattack together, their movements swift as wind. Tyron also joins the fight, displaying impressive skills. Yet Evelyn sits calmly on the steps watching, avoiding revealing her own abilities. The fight ends quickly, with the knights all injured and surrendering. Kira and Kyle fiercely warn them to leave town forever. The imposters try to bargain but are driven away by Evelyn. She plans to report this matter to the real Knight Order later. Turning her head, she discovers Tyron is already fast asleep against the wall. Evelyn asks Kyle to carry him back to prevent him from catching cold. Kyle complains reluctantly but eventually carries the sleeping Tyron. Watching Tyron's peaceful sleeping face, Evelyn can't help but smile. She gently pokes his cheek. Suddenly she feels like she's forgotten something important. Trying hard to remember but drawing a blank, she gives up and leads everyone home. Meanwhile, Lucas listens to his maid's report. The maid reports with a frown about Evelyn dealing with the scammers. Lucas can't help but laugh, lamenting that he always has to clean up her messes. Evelyn collapses on her bed, last night's ball having drained all her energy. She realizes she's now seen by everyone as Prince Lucas's ally. Bella appears timely, reminding her to mind her manners as a noble lady. Then she hands her a letter from Mira. The letter not only expresses gratitude, but also includes an invitation to Lady Margaret's tea party. She immediately understands this is Mira's goodwill in helping her resolve the factional crisis. Attending Margaret's tea party, which supports the Crown Prince, can blur her political stance. Standing outside the tea party, her heart feels anxious. Entering the venue, Margaret greets her warmly. She kindly inquires about her academic progress. Evelyn answers cautiously, yet remains vigilant internally. When Margaret suddenly mentions Prince Lucas, her heart tightens. She feigns composure to praise the prince's studies, trying to avoid sensitive topics. The conversation then shifts to Tyron. She can't help but recall last night's awkwardness of leaving him at Lena's doorstep. She claims verbally that she doesn't know Tyron well, yet his innocent drunk appearance floats through her mind. At this moment, she suddenly hears them mention a gang of scammers was captured in the forest. She freezes instantly, her mind racing with speculation. Who exactly reported this? And who tied up those people? Near the end, Margaret enthusiastically invites her to attend gatherings regularly. Though filled with reluctance, internally, she still has to agree. In the evening, she attends a ball, feeling many eyes upon her. Margaret comes to greet her. Mira also joins in the pleasantries, and she navigates gracefully between them. When the crowd disperses, that uneasy feeling of being watched grows stronger. Cyrus suddenly appears from behind, playfully poking her cheek. He explains his absence from the last ball due to grading papers, leaving her not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Another call comes, and she turns returns impatiently, only to see Tyron's bashful figure. Tyron admits he can't remember last night due to being drunk. Cyrus immediately casts a suspicious look. She hastily explains, and Tyron repeatedly agrees, proving that nothing indeed happened that night. After confirming Tyron got home safely, she finally relaxes. Then Tyron leaves with a flushed face. Both she and Cyrus find him utterly adorable. Cyrus suddenly asks who the Sebastian mentioned in the conversation is. He also mentions the name sounds like someone from the north. Evelyn firmly denies this name is from the north. Cyrus explains this is the full name of an ancient kingdom's last monarch, quite rare. Evelyn still harbors doubts. She clearly remembers the contradiction between the man's modest attire and conspicuous sword. His offensive words don't match his elegant manners. Ultimately, she chooses silence, not revealing these suspicious details. Cyrus turns to teasing her about her report progress, prompting her to glare at him fiercely. Turning around, she encounters Prince Lucas's smiling gaze. He gracefully invites her to dance, and Evelyn has no choice but to accept. On the dance floor, she can't help but appraise this second-in-line heir. Perhaps it's his casual demeanor that makes people forget his noble status. When Lucas compliments her dress, Evelyn can't help but shudder. She bluntly asks him to speak plainly. Lucas first apologizes, admitting he underestimated her abilities. The next second, he suddenly pulls her close by the waist, openly inviting her to join his faction. Lucas admits he once wanted to recruit her sister, but is now more interested in her. Finally, he dismissively comments that Kaelin has no qualifications to become emperor. These words pierce Evelyn's heart like a blade. Her brother's deathbed words about her sister echo in her ears. Her expression freezes instantly. Lucas continues rattling off his brother's faults. Evelyn suddenly grabs his collar, warning him to stop. Lucas demands with a twisted expression if she's threatening the royal family, but she sees through him. He has no real power to punish her. Recalling 3 years of hardship defeating the demon lord, she has exhausted all patience. Now she has no patience left for these royal disputes. She points out directly that Lucas is wasting his life on trivial jealousy, and declares again that whoever becomes emperor has nothing to do with her. Finally, she walks away without looking back, leaving the stunned prince behind. Tyron rushes over with concern, but Lucas merely rubs his neck with a forced smile. Watching his departing figure, Tyron looks thoughtful. Lucas walks alone into the forest, angrily calling for his maid, learning that all information about Evelyn has been blocked. He furiously pounds the trees, suspecting Kaelin's doing. Then he lets out a maniacal laugh in the woods. In another corner of the ball, Evelyn reflects on whether she was too impulsive. Walking with her head down, she finds herself before Tyron. He gently invites her to dance, and Evelyn silently accepts. Yet she senses his distraction, his dance steps stiff. Sure enough, he soon asks about the conflict with Lucas. Evelyn smiles bitterly to herself, so this was his real purpose for the dance. Tyron admits he sees Lucas as a close friend, and doesn't want to see him hurt. Evelyn can't help but challenge. Even if he does terrible things? Tyron nods firmly, his heart full of helplessness. Knowing he's enabling wrong, yet unable to watch his friend get hurt, Evelyn feels an inexplicable heartache and finishes the dance in silence. The ball ends, the festival concludes, leaving everyone lost in their own thoughts. Morning sunlight filters through the curtains as Evelyn remains lazily curled up in bed. Kira in cat form jumps onto the bed's edge, trying to lure her outside. When the sword repair is mentioned, Evelyn only responds half-heartedly. Kira is finally angered by her dismissiveness, her fur standing on end. Only then does Evelyn seriously consider the sword repair plan. But thinking about going to the capital, she ultimately chooses to stay in bed. Kira sighs helplessly and goes out alone to enjoy the bright sunshine. In the bustling marketplace, she unexpectedly spots Bella shopping. Watching Bella bargain earnestly, Kira grows curious. Eventually, Bella purchases a necklace with pearls. Driven by boredom, Kira decides to quietly follow the maid. Bella visits vegetable and fruit stalls in succession, always paying with cash. When the purse opens, Kira glimpses it full of gold coins. This is at least 3 months' income for an ordinary person. Kira shakes her head, guessing this must be Bella's hard-earned savings. Just as she becomes distracted, Bella suddenly disappears around a corner. Turning the corner, a shocking scene appears before her eyes. Bella is held by 2 thugs, her purchased produce scattered on the ground. Kira immediately recalls a similar scene from before. That time Evelyn was present, so she didn't intervene. But this time is different. Bella faces danger alone. Kira struggles internally. She's never liked humans. Bella always nags and lectures Evelyn. However, thinking of how much Evelyn values Bella, she has to compromise. If she doesn't save her, Evelyn will surely blame her. So she immediately transforms into human form and nimbly leaps onto the roof. The kidnappers are threatening Bella to hand over her money. Kira reaches her limit and leaps down. She lands a precise kick to one man's face. The other man charges forward in shocked anger. Bella covers her mouth in fright, her heart nearly stopping. Kira remains composed and delivers another clean spinning kick. In an instant, she subdues both criminals on the ground. She reminds the still shaken Bella not to display wealth. Bending down, she picks up the newly bought necklace and hands it to Bella. Bella finally comes to her senses and thanks her gratefully. Back at the estate, Bella excitedly describes what happened to Evelyn. She dramatically recounts how the mysterious girl heroically saved her. Evelyn immediately realizes it was Kira and turns to look at the stretching cat. Bella starts nagging again about Evelyn being cooped up in her room all day. Evelyn cleverly changes the subject, asking what she bought. Bella suddenly remembers something and hurries back to her room to fetch it. Evelyn takes the opportunity to ask Kira if she followed Bella, but Kira asks back if she wants her to leave. Evelyn sincerely expresses hope that she'll stay and enjoy her time. Kira happily agrees, even hinting she could stay permanently. At this moment, Bella returns to the room with the pearl necklace. She explains this is a gift prepared for Kira, who often goes out. Evelyn smiles and suggests she put it on the cat herself. As Bella hesitates, Kira obediently lowers her head. Bella seizes the opportunity to put it on her. They show satisfied smiles, watching Kira happily roll around on the bed. A few days later, Evelyn stands in the headmaster's office. The headmaster comments that although her report seems plain, it demonstrates amazing potential. Therefore, she's selected as an exchange student to Imperial Academy. Hearing she must go to the capital, Evelyn's expression changes instantly. The headmaster enthusiastically describes this rare opportunity. Yet Evelyn firmly wants to refuse. The real reason is she's unwilling to live with her sister until the headmaster reveals the trump card, double credit rewards. She immediately switches to a smile, eagerly confirming the itinerary. Imperial Academy's prestigious status needs no embellishment. Kalon passes through the academy corridor with attendants, hearing grating gossip. Students are discussing the incoming exchange students in contemptuous tones. They find it hard to believe commoners can enter this sacred academy. Kalon's appearance makes the gossip cease abruptly. They hurriedly bow and greet him. Once he's gone, the gossip resumes. Someone proposes giving the exchange students an unforgettable lesson. Quentin curiously inquires about the exchange students' details. Kalon confirms Evelyn is on the list. Quentin's eyes instantly light up, unable to hide his joy. Kalon feels puzzled by his reaction. That cold, red-haired youth from 3 years ago, after experiencing the baptism of war, has become even more radiant and captivating. Quentin apologizes for his impropriety, yet can't hide his admiration for Evelyn. On the other side, Bella is shocked to hear the news. Evelyn helplessly indicates she has no choice. The temptation of double credits is irresistible. She secretly resolves to seize this excellent opportunity. Carefully calculating the time needed to graduate, she discovers it still takes 3 years. This length of time is almost comparable to defeating the Demon Lord. If she can accelerate graduation through the exchange program, she can gain freedom sooner. Bella asks if she'll travel with other students. Evelyn plans to use the train ticket provided by the academy. Although magical teleportation is faster, it requires enormous costs. She speculates that except for Prince Lucas, everyone else would gladly take the train. Bella timely reminds her to create a course schedule. Then Evelyn gets busy. Kira suddenly pokes her head out. She requests Evelyn buy her a train ticket. Evelyn gently strokes her fur and agrees to the request, internally calculating how to utilize her connections. When Mira hears her request, she isn't surprised anymore. Evelyn frankly admits Mira is her only connection. Mira explains she's staying behind to handle business, while Lena's situation is more complicated. Tyron has already departed for the capital because he's the family heir. Evelyn keenly senses Lena has no interest in inheritance rights. In her view, Lena is clearly more qualified than her brother. Mira's investment in Lena also seems meaningful. At this moment, Mira questions why Evelyn so naturally asks for help. Evelyn smiles and refutes, stating she never takes advantage of people. Then Lena pushes the door open, and the atmosphere immediately eases. After mutual congratulations, Evelyn reveals her true purpose. She proposes exchanging course schedule planning for a train ticket. After carefully checking Lena's schedule, she discovers serious problems. Lena's naive explanation leaves her not knowing whether to laugh or cry. She decides to completely redesign the entire course arrangement. By the time everything is finished, it's already late. Then Evelyn states her intention, but Lena awkwardly says she's powerless to help. But she suggests finding classmates with extra tickets. She speculates commoner students might not use the second ticket, then feels ashamed of her own prejudice. Mira comforts her, saying it's indeed a reasonable speculation. She urges Evelyn to act quickly, as tickets should be in demand. Sure enough, when Evelyn finds Sophia, the ticket is already sold. Sophia proposes selling Marcus's extra ticket at 20 times the price. Evelyn's quick agreement actually makes Sophia uneasy. She voluntarily lowers the price to 10 times. Evelyn pays without hesitation. She's using family funds anyway. The transaction complete, Sophia looks forward to meeting her in the capital. The station buzzes with noise. Lena curiously looks toward the engine room. She wonders where exactly the magic stones powering the train are hidden. Those fist-sized magic stones are worth a fortune and must be heavily guarded. Only the magic tower can create such precious magical tools. The moment the train doors open, the crowd surges like a tide. Evelyn is squeezed breathless, her heart full of helplessness. Finally boarding the train, she searches alone for her seat, but unexpectedly encounters Sophia and Marcus, only then realizing the seats were swapped. swapped. In another car, Kira stares glumly out the window. Bella sits quietly beside her, the atmosphere extremely awkward. Evelyn stands silently before the two, the air seemingly frozen. The extremely shy Marcus suddenly stands, wanting to flee, but is stopped by a look from Sophia and obediently sits back down. Marcus sweats nervously, his voice trembling. At this moment, a knock breaks the deadlock. Evelyn opens the door to see Kira's aggrieved expression. She gently suggests going for a drink together, trying to ease the mood. In the dining car, Kira drinks juice with her head down, silent. Evelyn softly asks if things aren't going well with Bella. Kira just shakes her head, her eyes dim. Evelyn tentatively suggests switching seats back, but Kira worries it will raise Bella's suspicions. If the truth is discovered, Evelyn's secret won't be safe either. Kira doesn't understand why they don't tell Bella about defeating the Demon Lord. Evelyn bows her head in thought, believing keeping it secret for now is safer. She notices Kira's changes, a trace of melancholy rising in her heart. Returning to the compartment, Sophia and Marcus are playing cards. Evelyn feigns disinterest but still joins the game. She privately marvels at Marcus's astonishing intelligence. Beneath that foolish expression hides such a sharp mind. Just then, the train suddenly stops abruptly, cards scattering everywhere. An announcement states an injured person was found beside the tracks. After a brief stop, the train starts again. In another compartment, Bella carefully spreads butter on bread. She quietly observes Kira, determined to break the ice. After calling softly, she smiles and offers the bread. Kira hesitates for a moment but eventually accepts it. A trace of relief rises in Bella's heart. At this moment, Lena anxiously knocks, looking for Evelyn. Evelyn happens to appear just in time. Lena explains she's the one who discovered the injured person. While gazing out the window, she unexpectedly spotted a tall man lying by the tracks. Then staff members carried the injured person onto the train. Yet they're full of doubts about his identity. Tattoos covering his body indicate he's from a barbarian tribe. Lena recalls Evelyn's experience caring for family and hurries to ask for help. Evelyn inwardly groans. She actually knows nothing about medicine. At this moment, Kira pokes her head out, offering a bottle of potion. Lena mistakes oral medicine for external use, leaving Kira not knowing whether to laugh or cry. Evelyn has no choice but to volunteer to accompany her. Passing through the cars, her mood grows increasingly uneasy. The moment she sees the injured person's face clearly, her expression changes drastically. Lying on the ground is actually her former companion, Brock. Evelyn's heart fills with confusion. Why would this warrior who desperately wanted to go home appear here? Lena's reminder pulls her back from her thoughts to reality. She hastily opens the medicine bottle. She carefully feeds the potion into Brock's mouth. Everyone holds their breath, finally seeing him slowly open his eyes. Seeing Evelyn's face, Brock covers his eyes, thinking he's still hallucinating. Evelyn angrily slaps him directly, shocking the surrounding people speechless. She hastily explains this is just to wake him up, and suggests caring for him alone, letting the others leave first. Once everyone disperses, Brock immediately sits up. Evelyn bluntly asks if he got lost. Brock bitterly recounts 3 years of changes in his homeland. Evelyn realizes with shock he's been wandering all this time. Brock says there's hope as long as he finds fellow tribesmen. Evelyn sighs helplessly and takes out bread she's carrying. Watching him devour it hungrily, she suggests he go to the capital first, but Brock admits there's a divide between the tribe and the empire. However, there are indeed companions in the capital he can rely on. Evelyn immediately realizes these companions are actually spies. On her way back, she passes the dining car where Bella greets her warmly. She discovers with surprise that Kira is at the same table, secretly relieved that Kira is still with her, yet worrying about how to settle her. Bella asks about the injured man's condition. Evelyn casually explains he's exhausted from getting lost. Kira scornfully mocks anyone who would wander in such a place, knowing she's insulting her old comrade. Evelyn can't help but snicker. A sudden strange noise puts everyone on alert. Evelyn immediately organizes evacuation, ordering Bella to follow the crowd to safety. She and Kira stay behind to handle the crisis. A black-clad figure attacks with a knife. At the critical moment, Brock appears like a phantom behind the assassin. His ruthless takedown stuns both of them. Kira joyfully recognizes Brock, then picks up the drop dagger, discovering it's coated with deadly poison. Brock warns them there's more than one assassin. The moment he finishes speaking, more black-clad figures appear. Evelyn immediately realizes this is a premeditated attack. Though injured, Brock remains fierce. In a blink, he takes down 2 more assassins. He demands if the last one was sent by his brother. Learning his entire family is hunting him, he can barely contain his heartache. Kira timely reminds him knights are coming. Brock releases the last assassin, letting him escape through the window. Kira cleverly explains to the knights what happened during the attack. Once the knights leave, Evelyn presses for the assassins' identities. Brock admits they're killers sent by his brother. Evelyn immediately guesses this is about succession rights. In the tribe, the chieftain must be the strongest warrior. Having successfully defeated the demon lord, he became the most competitive heir, but also became the greatest threat to other contenders. Yet the pain of betrayal by his own people pierces his heart deeply. At this moment, Bella comes looking for Evelyn with worry. They move to a quiet corner, and Bella finally voices her grievances. She senses Evelyn is hiding something but still chooses to trust. Evelyn's heart fills with guilt and helplessness. Bella tearfully recounts their bond since childhood, firmly believing she understands Evelyn best. She's willing to keep waiting, believing she'll be told the truth one day. Evelyn tenderly wipes away her tears, softly promising. They embrace tightly, all barriers dissolving in this moment. After days of travel, the train finally arrives at Belmont Capital. Evelyn drags her exhausted body off at the station, nearly collapsing. The attack incident ends with the attackers declared dead. The dining car chaos has been resolved with reasonable compensation. The only regret is having to submit an incident report. But compared to these, the family matters she's about to face make her more nervous. Suddenly, an affectionate call comes. Eve. This form of address immediately displeases Kira and Brock. An elegant and noble man waves at her. Evelyn explains that's her brother-in-law, Gerald. Both are utterly shocked. Hard to imagine the stern sister Evelyn described would have a husband. Gerald is Cyrus's older brother, and he still feels embarrassed hearing brother-in-law. Evelyn reminds them of the fact they've been engaged for 5 years. Gerald keenly senses Evelyn's poor condition. Evelyn feigns normalcy, asking his purpose. Gerald smiles and pinches her cheek, saying he came specifically to pick her up. Knowing there are 4 people, he specially prepared 2 carriages. Yet Evelyn falls into thought. With Brock added, how should they divide the carriages? At this moment, she notices Tyron coming to pick up Lena. Tyron also notices them. The instant their eyes meet, both blush simultaneously. Gerald takes in this subtle atmosphere completely. Evelyn hastily explains the actual number of travelers, just as she suggests riding in the cargo section. Brock volunteers for this position. In the carriage, Gerald mentions Cassandra has been very busy lately. Evelyn understands her sister definitely wouldn't come pick her up personally. An image of her sister greeting her gloomily floats through her mind. She can't help but shudder. Gerald asks with concern about Cyrus's recent situation, recalling the family turmoil when Cyrus insisted on going to Rosen Academy. Most of House Valde are healthy, except Cyrus, who is frail and sickly. To his family, his every move is worrying. Going to Rosen Academy was already his greatest rebellion. Gerald suddenly asks seriously if Cyrus has been coughing blood. Evelyn feels surprised and explains Cyrus has long since recovered, inwardly sighing at this excessive protectiveness. But she can also understand the family's concerns. She assures them Cyrus is healthy enough to dance at the Lakeside Festival. Gerald finally shows a relieved smile. In a moment they arrive at the estate, and Gerald informs her Cassandra is in the study. Evelyn hesitates outside the study. She wants to avoid it, yet must face it. Pushing the door open, she's drawn to the desk full of documents, all reports and plans about the North. One passage shocks her. The North is leaderless, the timing is perfect. Only now does she recall her sister's role as the Emperor's assistant. Suddenly, Cassandra appears behind her. After brief greetings, she directly asks about her academy life. Evelyn reports with her head down about the train incident and extra guest. Unexpectedly, her sister coldly agrees. This abnormal tolerance makes her even more uneasy. Then, when mentioning the compensation bill, her sister's gaze makes her heart race. She's never had the upper hand in staring contests with her sister. Those eyes can easily see through all lies. Having said everything, Evelyn stands to leave. Before she goes, Cassandra leaves meaningful words, reminding her they are the only 2 remaining members of House Rosen. Back in her room, Evelyn turns these words over in her mind repeatedly. What exactly does one of only 2 remaining members mean? Brock believes this is reminding her to uphold family honor. Every word and action represents the family's image. But Kira offers a completely different interpretation. She brings up that boy with cat ears, Kyle. Her expression suddenly grows serious. He once killed someone. At that time, Kyle got into a conflict with a peddler. The man likely wanted to kidnap young feline clan members. In self-defense, Kyle ended that person's life. Learning of this, the entire clan fell into panic. The Merchants Guild is powerful. One wrong move could bring catastrophe, so they chose to bury the body deep, protecting this dangerous truth. When Brock asks if they punished Kyle, Kira denies it. In her view, family means protecting each other unconditionally. Evelyn falls into thought. For Kira, family means companions who spend each day together. For Brock, family means a legacy that must be respected, and that sister who cruelly killed her own younger brother. What exactly is her definition of family? At this moment, a servant's knock interrupts her thoughts. She orders horses prepared, as she's going out tomorrow to repair her sword. For the swordsmanship class about to begin, she must repair her sword quickly. The next morning, Evelyn follows the address with her sword, yet unknowingly walks deep into the mountains. The 3-story building before her makes it hard to believe this is a blacksmith shop. She warily draws her sword at a figure that suddenly appears, only to unexpectedly meet Tyron's surprised gaze. Seeing him with firewood on his shoulder, Evelyn's heart can't help but race. The blacksmith's appearance breaks this subtle atmosphere. After reading the recommendation letter, the blacksmith reluctantly accepts the sword. She complains about too much work and not enough hands. When Evelyn asks when to pick it up, the blacksmith angrily asks back if all she can do is wait. In the end, she has no choice but to agree to stay and help. She and Tyron busy themselves together in the workshop. While going out to chop wood, they chat about their reasons for coming here. They both came for the swordsmanship class, yet chose different swords. Tyron suggests she rest, but she insists on helping. She also proposes dropping tedious formalities for now. When she softly calls out the nickname Ty, Tyron's cheeks instantly flush red. He stammers agreement and hurries away. Watching his reddened ears, Evelyn can't help but snicker. Tyron swings the axe smoothly, and the wood splits on impact. Evelyn rests nearby, inwardly marveling at his efficiency. efficiency. A whole ton of firewood quickly piles up like a mountain under his hands. Her gaze follows the muscle lines of his arms. She softly asks if they need this much firewood. Tyron stops and looks back. That handsome profile makes Evelyn instantly blush. She hastily reminds herself he's still a minor. Tyron approaches and crouches before her, asking about her condition. Watching his obedient appearance, a trace of shame rises in her heart. As night falls, they return to the cottage with armfuls of firewood. The blacksmith is enjoying a simple potato dinner and invites them to dine together. During the meal, the blacksmith suddenly asks about her sword's origin. Evelyn honestly answers she found it by chance. In her memory, when she first discovered the sword, someone praised its extraordinary nature. Supposedly, this sword possesses holy properties for fighting evil. After dinner, the blacksmith arranges for her to help stoke the fire tomorrow morning. The next morning she wakes up, recalling the awkwardness of sharing a room last night. This large building has only one bedroom. Tyron gave her the bed and slept on the floor himself. Right now he's still sleeping, soundly in the corner, and she quietly crouches before him. His peaceful sleeping face reminds her of time spent together at the festival. She can't help but reach out to tidy his scattered hair, but he suddenly grabs her wrist. Evelyn instantly blushes bright red with embarrassment, recalling how she got him drunk, danced with him, and took his bed. These actions really aren't how a senior should behave. Tyron wakes startled and looks at their joined hands in confusion. He keeps calling her name, yet both forget to let go. When they finally release, Evelyn feels puzzled by his overreaction. She hastily says she's going to help the blacksmith and gives him the bed. On her way downstairs, she can't help but overthink. Last night's behavior must have made him dislike her even more. The blacksmith is already waiting at the forge, scolding her for being too late. She teaches her hands on how to work the bellows. The forge fire ignites, and the sword is reborn in the flames. For a swordsman, witnessing one's beloved sword being reforged is an invaluable experience. In the evening, the blacksmith announces the work is complete. When Evelyn tests the sword, it feels more balanced. Her swings are also smoother. Regarding payment, the blacksmith tells her to pay whatever she likes. Turns out she's already retired, and blacksmithing is just a hobby. Evelyn suddenly recalls the way the blacksmith observed her while adding firewood. That was actually studying her striking technique to better reforge the blade. At parting, the blacksmith suddenly mentions this sword is extraordinary. Just about to say something, she quickly changes her words, saying she's rambling. After leaving, Evelyn is full of doubts and decides to have someone appraise it later. A few days later, sunlight on enrollment day shines on the magnificent academy buildings. Marcus stares at the luxury before him, utterly stunned. Sophia reminds him to stop acting like a fool who's never seen anything. She takes out her enrollment certificate, her expression unable to hide loneliness. The noble students around them have already formed their own circles, chatting and laughing. Marcus lowers his head in shame, nearly burying his face in his chest. Sophia bumps his arm hard, reminding him not to forget they must complete their mission. Then they walk side by side up the grand staircase. Swordsmanship class begins promptly at the training ground. This class is known for being strict, and Evelyn regrets again not dropping out. Among a group of students wearing armor, she alone wears an elegant dress. Students around her whisper about the professor's distinguished military career. The professor's sudden roar instantly silences everyone. His gaze immediately locks onto the out-of-place Evelyn. Evelyn reports her name with forced composure. The professor demands why she's not wearing armor, utterly mortifying her. She has already realized what a stupid mistake she made. She complained all day but forgot the most basic preparation. The professor's fury almost consumes her. He harshly berates her to get out if she's not serious. She hastily apologizes and promises to correct it next time, but the professor orders her to dress like this for every class from now on. The students' whispers make her realize she's been singled out. She inwardly wails that she's doomed. Training begins, and the tight dress leaves her breathless. At this moment, a concerned voice sounds by her ear. The helmet comes off, revealing Tyron's handsome face. They run side by side, completing the laps the professor demands. But the professor disdains the training as too little, going on about battlefield cruelty. Evelyn can't help but mentally complain about this exaggerated lecture. The sparring segment begins, and she instinctively looks toward Tyron, only to find he's already paired with someone else. A sense of betrayed disappointment rises in her heart. At this moment, a male student actively invites her to partner. Without waiting for an answer, he presumes to instruct her on how to hold a sword. Evelyn asks coldly for his name. Learning it's Julian, her smile becomes dangerous. She bluntly asks back who gave him permission to boss her around. Her sword flashes out as she glares at him, demanding he draw his weapon. Julian eagerly draws his sword. Evelyn calmly signals him to strike first, having already seen through his intentions. Julian chose her as an opponent precisely because she looks delicate. Sure enough, Julian eagerly charges forward with his sword. Evelyn turns lightly to dodge, a trace of pity rising in her heart. Even dressed in a gown and shoes, she doesn't lose ground at all. She points her sword at Julian, who fell to the ground, inviting him to another match. Even watching Tyron can't hide his surprise. Julian breaks into a cold sweat, his heart full of shock and unwillingness. He attacks again, but Evelyn easily parries. Julian doesn't understand why he can't defeat her. The command to end sparring sounds. and Julian hangs his head dejectedly. Facing his companion's concern, he suddenly loses control and roars. His heart consumed by humiliation, he resolves to make Evelyn pay for this. Evelyn feels helpless, finding it exhausting to deal with these people. She instructs Bella to bring a change of dress and is quickly refreshed. The moment she enters the classroom, she pauses slightly. Before her are all familiar faces. Lucas glances back at her coldly but says nothing. It seems her previous warning had an effect. Usually he would pretend to chat about the weather and festival plans. Yet this sudden silence makes her uneasy instead. She worries he's plotting something in secret, which would be even more troublesome. She wonders if she should approach him proactively to discover his intentions. Lena timely extends an invitation to the freshman banquet. Evelyn smiles and agrees. As night falls, the welcome banquet glows brilliantly. Evelyn slowly enters the venue. Margaret greets her warmly. Evelyn joins the ladies' small talk. Listening to their discussion, she immediately spots Lucas. Praise for the second prince's appearance reaches her ears, yet she notices Tyron's tense expression. The ladies talk about Lucas's resemblance to the crown prince, and lament that he studies at Rosen Academy. Evelyn understands. This open praise explains everything. No one here truly supports Lucas contending for the throne. He's merely the beloved second prince, nothing more. If he truly revealed ambitions for succession, this harmony would shatter instantly. Just as she ponders, Crown Prince Kalon enters gracefully. The two princes greet each other with surface warmth. Suddenly, the Crown Prince's gaze crosses the crowd to land on Evelyn. She hastily lowers her head to avoid his gaze, her heart involuntarily racing. Quentin, following behind, suddenly laughs out loud. Seeing Quentin about to greet her, she immediately whispers a reminder that he can't greet her so brazenly. Fortunately, everyone's attention is focused on the Crown Prince. She asks in a low voice why Quentin is here, but Quentin runs toward her happily like a puppy seeing its owner. Evelyn mentally panics, wishing she could turn invisible. At this moment, Kalon speaks up timely, telling Quentin to prepare the seating. Quentin is instantly like having cold water thrown on him, glumly accepting the order and leaving. Evelyn can't help but marvel at the Crown Prince's skill in managing people, to tame such a free and unrestrained soul. Quentin is indeed cheerful and enthusiastic, but never good at reading the room. Evelyn secretly observes their interaction, full of curiosity. Suddenly, Kalon glances her way, giving her an ominous premonition. She notices the ornate sword at his waist. The ladies around her are also discussing it enthusiastically, but they're talking about the legendary violet star gem. Evelyn tries to steer the conversation toward the sword, but no one responds. She can only listen with a smile, yet constantly feels a burning gaze from behind. She finally can't help but stand to excuse herself, and sure enough, Quentin follows. Outside the restroom, the two can finally talk freely. Evelyn never imagined he would become the Crown Prince's guard, then tells him that Kira and Brock are both at her house. Counting them, she realizes only Aiden remains to be reunited with. Only now does she realize her former teammates all have extraordinary identities. High Priest, Crown Prince's guard, Grand Mage, Chieftain's son. Except for Kira, everyone has a distinguished background. Quentin reveals Aiden will appear at the coming-of-age ceremony. Evelyn instinctively asks if Tyron will also attend. Quentin's surprised counter-question makes her feel guilty. She hastily brings up other nobles she knows to deflect. Suddenly realizing Quentin has been away from his post too long, she worries he'll be punished. But Quentin firmly believes the Crown Prince won't blame him. This innocence makes her both helpless and touched. In her eyes, Quentin kindly assumes everyone is good, but he's far from foolish. He's one of the Empire's finest swordsmen. Recalling the past Quentin shared, he came from fallen nobility. After his parents died, the brothers went their separate ways, and he was adopted by a knight. That mentor was no honorable knight and even beat young Quentin. The battlefield's cruelty made him grow rapidly in a short time. In just a few years, he surpassed the knight. He was eventually recognized by a commander. In the past, sitting around campfires, Brock and Aiden never talked about themselves. Tiana never even revealed her real name. Only Quentin and Kira were willing to share their stories. Thinking of this, Evelyn can't help but feel a trace of sadness. Though she understands everyone has their own difficulties, she inevitably feels disappointed. Quentin leans in with concern to ask, waking her from memories. She shakes her head and leads him back to the bustling banquet hall. At this moment, Evelyn notices someone furtively peering at the entrance. Evelyn recognizes it's Marcus, and softly asks if he's looking for Sophia. Marcus is startled by this sudden greeting, his whole body trembling. Quentin's cold stare makes him even more flustered. He leaves the venue without looking back, disappearing from view. Yet Quentin still stares intently at his departing direction, expression grave. He lowers his voice, saying he suspects the man is hiding a dagger. Marcus, in hiding, pulls his coat tight, breathing rapidly. Evelyn can't believe he's someone who would carry a weapon, but Quentin immediately relaxes his guard upon learning it's an acquaintance. Unease rises in Evelyn's heart. With such a careless attitude, can such a guard truly fulfill his duties? Returning to the venue, Evelyn finds her original seat taken. She notices Sophia sitting alone in a corner with an empty seat beside her. Evelyn approaches, asking why she came to such an awkward party. Sophia asks Evelyn back with dismay. displeasure. Evelyn smiles and lists the many nobles she knows. Sophia sharply asks back why she doesn't sit among them. Evelyn falls silent, finally understanding Sophia's earlier gloom. She'd rather sit alone quietly than pretend intimacy while socializing. At this moment, she notices Sophia staring absently in a certain direction. Following her gaze, she discovers Sophia is watching Kalen. But Sophia isn't looking at his face. Her gaze remains fixed on the sword at his waist. Sophia suddenly asks how much she knows about Prince Kalen's sword. Evelyn is quite surprised. She didn't expect to meet someone interested in swords, especially since the other seems to have no interest in swordsmanship. She cautiously analyzes this exquisitely crafted longsword. Before finishing, she suddenly feels this sword is strangely familiar. At this moment, an unfamiliar man approaches requesting to sit. His dark skin and snow-white hair make him look like a barbarian, but his clothing and demeanor are clearly those of a noble. He introduces himself as Karim of House Drummond. After receiving permission, he sits beside Evelyn. He mentions Evelyn's impressive performance defeating Julian in swordsmanship class. Evelyn drinks silently, alarm bells ringing in her mind. She thought she had been discreet enough. She didn't expect to still be noticed. Karim explains with a smile he's been closely watching her for a while. Then he leans close to whisper, reminding her Julian holds grudges. He has a bad reputation and loves harassing commoner students. These words put Evelyn immediately on alert. Karim looks towards Sophia, reminding her to be careful. Evelyn looks away, denying this claim, then bluntly questions his true intentions. Karim indicates this place has too many eyes and ears for detailed discussion. He briefly states wanting to form an alliance to send Brock back to his homeland. Hearing this, Evelyn glares at him angrily. Karim stands and hands her a note, then takes his leave. Evelyn clutches the note, her heart full of doubts. Recalling Karim's warning about Julian holding grudges, she doesn't fully trust this stranger who suddenly extends an olive branch. But to discover the truth, she has no choice but to keep the appointment. The days after the welcome party are unusually peaceful. Only Evelyn sits in a corner, privately troubled. The last note read the first Thursday of October. She repeatedly mulls over Karim's true meaning in leaving these words. After finishing training, Brock asks with concern about her condition. Evelyn can't help but ask Brock whether barbarians living in the Empire could possibly become nobles. Brock honestly admits his knowledge is limited, but believes there's a slim possibility. He reveals most who leave the tribe are those exiled for breaking laws. Even so, they remain proud of their barbarian origins. Evelyn is shocked by the fact of law-breaking. Brock explains this is a special punishment for betraying the clan, then asks why Evelyn is curious. She almost blurts out that there might be barbarian spies lurking at the academy. But thinking of Brock's possible reaction, she ultimately swallows the truth. What makes her hesitate more is that Karim might well be lying. Before discovering the truth, she decides to remain silent. Brock suggests a sword match to dispel her worries. Evelyn stands with a smile, teasing that he's asking for a beating. At this moment, Bella rushes in with a letter from the royal family. Alarm bells ring in Evelyn's mind, fearing she'll be held accountable for threatening Lucas. Opening it, she discovers it's a false alarm. It's an invitation to a farewell ball. This is a send-off ball for diplomats heading north. An invitation personally signed by the Emperor means no one can refuse. She understands she's destined to attend with Cassandra this time. She quietly complains about this terrible news, then asks about the ball's date. She hears the exact time from Karim's note, the first Thursday of October, so everything was premeditated, all along. She postpones the match with Brock, and decides to immediately find Mira to commission a dress. Before leaving, Evelyn encounters Gerald in the garden. He admits he received an invitation and will attend as Cassandra's companion. Evelyn muses to herself. Engaged for 5 years without marrying seems far too long. At this moment, Gerald suddenly cries out. Kira flips down from the railing. Kira eagerly asks about Quentin's situation. Evelyn admits Quentin promised to visit, but as the Crown Prince's guard. If he comes, he must surely accompany His Highness the Crown Prince. This deduction makes both their expressions change simultaneously. Gerald interjects, reminding them the royal family is currently busy preparing for the ball. Evelyn decides to contact Quentin in advance anyway. As they leave together, Gerald watches their departing figures and shakes his head with a smile. They'll meet at the ball anyway. Why go to such trouble? On the first Thursday of October, the capital welcomes a grand ball. A polite knock sounds outside the Rosen estate's carriage. Imperial Guard member Philip respectfully greets them. Evelyn thinks to herself, perhaps one day Tyron will also wear this solemn uniform. As she enters the venue, she carefully observes the surrounding crowd. Cassandra, who hasn't appeared in a long time, immediately becomes the focus of everyone's attention. Nobles come forward one after another to exchange pleasantries, unable to hide their curiosity and probing. When Evelyn sees Gerald chatting and laughing freely in the crowd, she suddenly understands why her sister chose this man. His social talents are indeed a rare asset in high society. At this moment, a lively voice breaks the harmony. Adelaide teases Cassandra's expression without holding back, then affectionately embraces Evelyn. The two chat happily, Adelaide eagerly sharing recent news. She learned from Cyrus that Evelyn is an exchange student at Imperial Academy, then immediately asks about her brother Cyrus's whereabouts. Evelyn also feels confused. He clearly received an invitation yet is nowhere to be seen. She wonders if this rebellious professor is avoiding something again. Adelaide firmly believes Cyrus will come find Evelyn because he has feelings for her. She repeatedly urges that if Evelyn sees Cyrus, she must inform her. Then she sincerely thanks Cassandra for looking after Gerald. Cassandra blandly encourages her to claim the heir position soon. Adelaide playfully responds that their parents are still healthy, so inheritance is far off. Evelyn keenly senses the deeper meaning in these words. If Adelaide becomes heir, Gerald will be completely out of the running. This reminds her that her sister once said, "Only the two of them remain in House Rosen." Only now does she truly understand the responsibility and expectations this statement carries. Adelaide and Cassandra begin discussing the northern political situation. The Northern Alliance, with an unusually increased number of representatives, catches their attention. Cassandra speculates they may still have internal conflicts. Evelyn, listening nearby, feels on edge. Political topics make her feel like sitting on pins and needles, because tonight's ball is held precisely for ministers heading to the north. Evelyn leaves her seat, searching the venue for Kareem. She can't help but whisper complaints about why he hasn't appeared yet. Cyrus's sudden appearance startles her. He first asks about his sister's whereabouts, then presses who she's waiting for. Learning Adelaide is looking for him, Cyrus appears very resistant. He turns to mention that critically important report. Evelyn's heart falls into extreme struggle. 3 years ago during the campaign, she witnessed that kingdom firsthand. In just 1 week, a kingdom with centuries of history was reduced to ruins. The moment she stepped into the former royal palace, it felt like entering another world. The figure on the throne remains clearly etched in her mind. This is why she deduced the demon lord was descended from ancient royalty. But this is a classified mission that must never be revealed. Fortunately, Lena and Tyron's arrival saves her. Cyrus immediately switches to professor mode, showing concern for exchange student life. Whispers ripple around as people recognize this famous professor. Evelyn immediately seizes the chance to slip away. But leaving, she can't help glancing back at Tyron. He always seems somewhat dejected when with Lena. At this moment, Kareem finally appears, seeing right through her thoughts. Evelyn feels both surprised and relieved. Finally, he appears. Kareem probes whether Evelyn is interested in Tyron. Evelyn coldly interrupts, telling him to state his purpose directly. Kareem has no choice but to suggest continuing the conversation somewhere secluded. Arriving at a remote spot, Kareem finally confesses his barbarian bloodline. He recounts his grandmother's exile, firmly believing it was a miscarriage of justice. Now he's determined to gather all wrongly exiled people to return to their homeland. Evelyn immediately questions the authenticity of his noble identity. Kareem explains the agreement his grandmother made with the exiles back then. Through this agreement, his grandmother successfully married into an earl's family. Stories heard in childhood have now become his mission to fulfill. As a second son, he voluntarily shoulders this heavy responsibility. Evelyn remains vigilant, pressing how this relates to Brock. Kareem admits wanting to nominate Brock as chieftain in exchange for lifting exile orders. Evelyn outwardly remarks the plan is simple, yet inwardly full of doubts. She points out Brock faces threats from his brothers, making the return journey difficult. Kareem confidently states he knows the route back to the homeland. Facing Evelyn's continued doubts, he finally raises his voice excitedly. Brock was a hero who defeated the demon lord. This is the best reason. Evelyn finally draws out useful information, then challenges him. Why does a noble raised in the Empire have such an obsession with barbarians? After a long silence, Kareem finally admits he's a double agent. He moves between the Empire and the barbarians, yet belongs to neither. Evelyn instantly understands. The Empire is what truly wants to control Brock. She states Brock is absolutely not someone to be manipulated. Kareem meaningfully points out she can control him. These words pierce Evelyn's defenses like a blade. She can endure being used but cannot accept implicating those around her. She angrily demands who's behind it, guessing from the emperor to the prime minister. Finally, the name she least wants to believe slips out: Cassandra. Kareem's silence confirms her guess. She turns and flees, tears sliding down uncontrollably. Her vision gradually blurs, her body swaying out of control. In a daze, she sees two figures running toward her. Tyron catches her collapsing body in time. Amid everyone's cries of alarm, he lifts her without hesitation. On the way to the infirmary, she hears news that Cyrus also fainted. Lying in the hospital bed, she worries about Cyrus, who also collapsed. The doctor diagnoses him as needing rest due to excessive shock. Cyrus smiles bitterly, mocking his predicament of trying to help others and ending up hospitalized. Adelaide rushes through the door, face full of worry. Evelyn understands Cyrus can't escape now. At this moment, an unexpected figure appears beside the bed. Cassandra comes to visit for once, concern in her tone. Evelyn has a dream where she holds her sword, gazing ahead. The scene of the demon lord sitting leisurely on the throne reappears. She thrusts her sword into his body. That figure transforms into a long-haired man falling toward her. Those blood-red eyes stare at her fixedly, full of resentment and unwillingness. She jolts awake from the nightmare, cold sweat soaking her clothes. Bella asks with concern if she had a nightmare. She asks with forced composure how long she was unconscious. Inwardly relieved, she fooled Cassandra with the illness excuse, but now she must return to reality and face everything. At the dining table, Brock and Kira appear coincidentally. Both make flimsy excuses, yet she sees through their concern. She lowers her head and laughs softly. touched by this warmth. Hard to believe these strangers have given her family warmth she's never experienced. This makes her recall her sister's past overtures. She once naively thought that was her sister's signal of acceptance. Today the school will hold a practical combat exam. She walks alone into the training ground, ready to numb herself with combat. Upon encountering Kareem, she directly issues a duel challenge. Both draw swords, clashing instantly. Evelyn states fiercely she already knows her sister is behind it all. Kareem teases about her frightening expression, trying to ease the atmosphere, but she can't restrain her inner fury, pressing forward relentlessly. Soon Kareem is defeated, her sword pointing at his throat. She asks with a cold smile if he wants another round. Kareem admits he once thought she was just a kind person sheltering Brock. These words displease her, as if Brock were a stray animal. Kareem admits he underestimated her. They clash again, sword light flashing. Kareem mentions rumors about northern giants and barbarian tribes, stating bluntly that the Rosen sisters are fearsome. Evelyn leaps into fierce attack, agreeing with his last statement. Kareem uses Cassandra's plan to send Brock back to his country, but underestimated how fearsome the Rosen sisters are. Especially didn't expect young Evelyn to be the one who defeated the Demon Lord. When Evelyn's sword is at his neck again, he hastily explains, claiming this is the best arrangement for everyone. Evelyn angrily demands if they're exploiting the barbarian tribes. Kareem retorts this is the only way for Brock to return home. Without preparation, Brock will surely be assassinated upon return. Evelyn is furious beyond measure. Unable to believe she's still listening, Kareem firmly believes Brock will accept this proposal, and questions whether Evelyn has discussed it with Brock. Evelyn's heart trembles, realizing she's accustomed to bearing things alone, because she has no choice. Few know her circumstances. Explaining to others means exposing her weaknesses, thinking of Cassandra's cruelty in killing her own brother with her hands, now a confidant of the Emperor, manipulating her by any means. This is the true face of her only remaining family. Kareem interrupts her, suggesting she discuss it with Brock. Evelyn stands frozen for a long time, lost in thought. At dusk, Evelyn confides to Brock everything that's happened recently. Brock gravely confirms the reality of tribal exiles. Evelyn feels deeply guilty for concealing the truth. When asked about his plans, Brock falls into deep conflict. Returning home means brothers killing each other. Staying means never having peace. Ultimately, he makes the difficult choice to return to his homeland. Evelyn stares at him in shock, recalling Kareem's prediction came true. Brock decides to lead the tribe in migration to a hidden place. From then on, it will be hard to communicate with Evelyn. Evelyn can't believe he would go back even if it means killing his own kin. Brock firmly states he'll handle it according to law, exile or execution. In the Empire, family killing family is common yet always covered up. Yet barbarians understand respect for law and honor better than the Empire. Evelyn is finally convinced and promises full support. Brock solemnly promises to shoulder all responsibility alone. In this moment, Evelyn seems to see Kira's departing figure again. The sadness of being left behind surges like a tide. Then she barges into her sister's office, directly asking if she knows Kareem. After getting confirmation, she presses whether she's using Brock. Cassandra calmly admits everything. Evelyn asks tremblingly if she's using her too. Recalling Felix's tragedy, she nearly breaks down. Yet her sister remains expressionless, cold, and indifferent. Evelyn accuses desperately that she should have stopped him from touching that blade. Cassandra coldly states Evelyn also knew at the time. Evelyn defends herself citing youth, yet knows inwardly this is just an excuse. The memories of rebirth keep her living between illusion and reality. Only Felix's death fully awakened her. Cassandra meaningfully states they have two versions of the story. Evelyn doesn't want to say more, only asking her sister to relay Brock's decision. After slamming the door and leaving, she kneels on the ground in regret, regretting bringing up Felix, making old wounds bleed again. Gerald appears timely, considerately leading her away. In the family parlor, Evelyn reflects that things remain but people have changed. She doesn't understand why Gerald deeply loves her sister who never smiles. Gerald recalls the ball where they first met, that moment of love at first sight. Yet Evelyn has no recollection. Gerald admits he never imagined he'd be engaged to Cassandra, especially after Felix's death. Evelyn is comforted to find someone still remembers her brother. Gerald describes how upon learning of the engagement, he rushed to Cassandra to confirm her feelings, only to disappointedly discover she viewed the marriage merely as a political alliance. Evelyn asks softly if this is the her he loves. Gerald shyly admits it was love at first sight. Over 10 years of secret affection leaves Evelyn incredulous. Gerald gently advises, face complex matters one step at a time. He sincerely affirms Evelyn is already doing well. Just as Evelyn feels somewhat comforted, Gerald suddenly asks about her romance with Tyron. Hearing the scene of Tyron carrying her away last night has spread, Evelyn denies it in alarm. Gerald laughs, saying everyone is happy about young people in love. Evelyn crouches with her head in her hands, completely breaking down. In the evening, she carefully seals a thank you letter to Tyron. Recalling Gerald's advice, she feels a letter isn't enough to express gratitude. She feels she should prepare a gift as well. Kira leaps lightly onto the desk, asking curiously about the reason. Evelyn explains how Tyron helped her out at the banquet. Kira doesn't understand why she's so hesitant. She stammers that rumors about them are spreading everywhere. When the word couple comes out, Kira's fur nearly stands on end. Kira urgently presses what happened to make such rumors spread. Then she suggests Evelyn secretly give the letter and gift to Tyron, even volunteers to deliver them herself. Evelyn hastily stops her, worried this would become a fright. Kira proposes again using visiting Lena as an excuse. Evelyn is overjoyed, lavishly praising her wisdom. Kira frowns watching her leave, her heart full of uneasy premonition. The next day she steps into Blaylock ducal house. Evelyn is awed by the mansion's magnificence. Learning Lena is in class, she can only wait patiently in the parlor. The butler warmly invites her to tour this historic mansion. Hearing this will pass the time, she gladly accepts the proposal. Strolling through the garden, the butler describes in detail the two different greenhouses. When hearing the cold room is specifically for northern plants, curious Evelyn follows the butler inside. The butler points to an inconspicuous little flower, introducing it as a northern specialty. Evelyn is inwardly shocked. This is clearly weeds she saw in the north. She can't help but feel speechless at the exorbitant price, so she seriously asks why the mansion grows northern plants. The butler begins recounting the long history of House Blaylock. This family originated from the north. After the ancient kingdom fell, they migrated here. After pledging loyalty to the new empire, they were granted noble titles. The new empire required them to make two vows: never use magic, forever serve the emperor. Therefore, House Blaylock has served in the royal guard for generations. Evelyn is inwardly shaken. She didn't expect this Knight family to have such profound background. A servant suddenly bursts in, interrupting the butler's narration. Lena has been urgently summoned to the palace. The entire mansion immediately becomes busy. Evelyn considerately offers to leave alone, but is refused by the butler citing propriety, so she chooses a young boy as escort, then cleverly sends him away on the pretext of needing a handkerchief. Estimating it will take him 5 minutes to return, she decides to use this chance to find Tyron. She goes indoors, searching outside various rooms, hesitating whether to knock on a door. Tyron happens to appear in the corridor. She hastily hands over the letter and gift, expressing thanks. Tyron's ears instantly flush crimson as he awkwardly gives thanks. Before he can say more, Evelyn has already turned, fleeing swiftly from this heart-racing scene. Returning to the garden, the boy fetching the handkerchief just arrives back. He respectfully hands over the handkerchief, then escorts her from the mansion. At this moment, Evelyn's ears are also bright red, the flutter in her heart unable to calm. Soon after, Tyron's reply letter arrives. Evelyn's cheeks instantly flush. She hastily stands, saying she needs to be alone for a while. Kira stares at her departing figure, strong unease rising in her heart. That Tyron who makes Evelyn blush must be the reason. Bella thinks it's impossible, but Kira recalls the scene of Evelyn gently poking Tyron's cheek. She excitedly states things are absolutely not simple. The scene of them embracing at the last party is still vivid in memory. Brock wonders if Evelyn is just guiding Tyron. Bella mentions Evelyn's visit to Blaylock House a few days ago. Kira firmly believes that was to give Tyron a gift. Seeing Lena was just an excuse. She can't accept that she facilitated this outcome. In the quiet room, Evelyn unfolds the letter, her lips unconsciously curving up. In the letter, Tyron expresses his surprise and gratitude at receiving the gift. He sincerely invites her to dinner, awaiting her reply. After reading, Evelyn's face grows redder, ripples rising in her heart. At this moment, she's disturbed by sounds from the next room. She returns puzzled. Facing the three's strange gazes, she asks what happened. Kira bluntly asks about the letter's contents. Learning of the dinner invitation, Kira and Bella start whispering. Then Bella seriously asks a shocking question. Evelyn immediately denies dating the underage Tyron. Kira reminds her Tyron will soon have his coming-of-age ceremony. Evelyn stammers in defense. Bella is already moved to tears, wishing Evelyn happiness. Evelyn emphasizes again she's just interested in Tyron, not looking to date. But her racing heartbeat can't deceive herself. At this moment in Blaylock House, Tyron is defeated by his father once again. He stubbornly demands another match, raising his sword in an arc. Yet the sword is knocked away again, his father sternly pointing out his flaws. The Duke warns him to stay vigilant. A moment's lapse could cost his life. At this moment, Lena comes to announce dinner time has arrived. The Duke immediately softens, gently agreeing to rest. Walking behind their father, Lena quietly asks about the letter. Learning Tyron has sent the letter, she smiles knowingly. Tyron blushes, denying being particularly close to Evelyn. Lena confirms with concern whether he invited her to dinner, as she suggested. She's gratified that Tyron rarely sought her advice, recalling her surprise when Tyron came to her with the gift. When Tyron awkwardly asked for dating advice, she was even more pleased. She recommended an appropriate venue but didn't see the reply's contents, recalling Evelyn helping Mira regardless of others' opinions. Lena is certain she's a trustworthy and reliable woman. At this moment, the Duke suddenly turns to ask Lena about her decision. The smile on her face instantly vanishes as she lowers her head and responds softly. The originally warm atmosphere is suddenly cast in shadow. After Tyron extended the dinner invitation, the two finally set the date for a few days before his coming-of-age ceremony. His thoughtful and proper arrangements make Evelyn can't help but wonder. She suspects he often invites girls to dinner. Returning to the classroom, she immediately senses an unusual atmosphere. Classmates huddle together, whispering, their gazes strange. Margaret asks if she's heard the shocking news. Lena and Prince Lucas are about to be engaged. Everyone thought Lena would marry the crown prince. Everyone is puzzled why it suddenly changed to second Prince Lucas. Before long, Bella also hears this bombshell news. Evelyn softly interrupts. Today's dinner with Tyron concerns her more. She knows clearly this engagement will push Tyron into the eye of the storm. Tonight's time together is destined to draw countless attention and gossip. At this moment, a servant reports Tyron's carriage has arrived early. Though earlier than the agreed time, she decides to go early. Following the maid through the corridor, her heartbeat quickens. The moment she opens the door and sees Tyron, all worries vanish. His slightly flushed cheeks reveal the same nervousness and anticipation. They sit, facing each other, shyness making the air both sweet and awkward. Tyron gently touches the pin on his chest, breaking the silence. He asks if this gift matches properly. Evelyn breaks into a smile, sincerely praising how suitable it is. Joy fills her heart. She thought about this gift for a long time. Considering he'll join the Imperial Guard in the future, a pin is most practical. The topic turns to the sword-repairing blacksmith, and she's curious about the connection. Tyron explains this. Blacksmith had deep friendship with his grandfather. Forging and repairing blades for House Blaylock has been a tradition for many years. Evelyn privately marvels. A blacksmith favored by a war hero is truly impressive. Tyron asks with concern if there's a problem with the sword. She hastily explains the sword is in surprisingly good condition. It handles exceptionally smoothly. The topic turns to the swordsmanship finals, and she mentions everyone favors him. The betting pool at the academy is an open secret, and she bet on him too. But Tyron reveals with a blush that people favor her too. Even more surprising, he secretly bet on her victory. Evelyn finds his action adorable. She secretly vows in her heart to give her all to win the match. Savoring the delicious food, she sincerely praises the restaurant choice. Tyron shyly admits it was his sister Lena's recommendation. This name makes Evelyn unable to resist bringing up that rumor. Just as she asks about the truth of Lena and Prince Lucas's engagement, a knock interrupts the conversation as a maid enters with a wine pitcher. The maid's clumsy wine pouring raises Evelyn's suspicions. What worries her more is Tyron's alcohol tolerance. The last drinking experience is still fresh in mind. Just as she's about to taste it, she senses something's wrong. This isn't just wine. The pungent medicinal smell instantly alerts her. It's sleeping pills. Tyron has already collapsed heavily, and she jumps up in alarm. Though she herself escaped disaster, she can't abandon him and flee alone. To save Tyron, she can only pretend to comply for now. Evelyn is tied up. The rough burlap sack rubs against her cheeks. She strives to stay calm, analyzing the current situation. These people kidnapped both of them. They must have a scheme. The unconscious Tyron rests his head on her shoulder, breathing weakly. A baron from a knight family, a young lady from a political house. The kidnappers targeting both of them is no coincidence. The maid's voice breaks the silence, asking if they're lovers. She harshly orders her to shut up, but the maid leans to her ear, mocking that she won't last long. A sudden pull makes Evelyn lose balance. Hearing the sound of them walking away, she takes the opportunity to escape the hood. The moment her vision returns, she quickly confirms the environment. They're locked in a storage room. The maid demands who remove the hood and warns her subordinates not to harm them. Evelyn immediately realizes this kidnapping is unusual, yet they're particularly concerned about their safety. Definitely not for money. At this moment, Tyron is about to wake. The maid reluctantly decides to report up. Tyron's first words upon waking are concern for her safety. Evelyn quietly loosens the ropes. Tyron falls into deep self-blame, believing he implicated her. Evelyn softly comforts him. This isn't his fault. She carefully unties Tyron's bindings, yet Tyron still can't forgive himself. If not for his dinner invitation, she wouldn't be in danger. Watching Tyron's pained expression, Evelyn's heart aches. She gently turns his shoulders to face her directly. Then Evelyn cups his face with both hands. Under his surprised gaze, she plants a light kiss. She softly tells him not to blame himself. Everything will be all right. Tyron holds her tightly as if this is his only redemption. At this moment, the door is pushed open. A thuggish man appears at the doorway. He sizes up Evelyn, bluntly stating she has remarkable courage. Evelyn glares at him fearlessly, demanding to know the truth. The man threatens fiercely, yet reveals his connections to other nobles. Evelyn demands to know their purpose. The man sneers, saying he knows how to deal with women like her, though he can't take her life. There are countless ways to give her a fate worse than death. He grabs her chin, frivolously proposing to play a game.